Hi, this is Dirk Hooper, and welcome to Taskforce Geek News. So we got this tidbit today about there might be a sequel to the original Constantine film starring Keanu Reeves. That's pretty interesting. Let's get into it. According to this article from Screen Rant, Constantine 2, a follow-up to the 2005 movie starring Keanu Reeves, is in the works, according to Peter Stormare, who played Lucifer in the original film. Stormare, who also appeared in Fargo, Armageddon, American Gods, John Wick Chapter 2, that's an interesting crossover, and a number of video games, including Destiny and Destiny 2, was a standout in the DC Comics adaptation. Despite being panned by critics and comic book fans alike upon release, Constantine has been reevaluated in recent years, especially since Reeves has experienced a major career resurgence due to the John Wick franchise. So what happened today is, I'm going to scroll down to it, Peter Stormare said, let's see, here we go. Now Stormare has seemingly confirmed Constantine 2 is in fact happening. He has posted an image of himself as Lucifer in Constantine on Instagram with the accompanying caption, "Sequel in the works." Stormare is the first person directly involved to confirm plans for a sequel, and hopefully his post is correct, though it would be strange if the actor was posting without having at least been contacted to reprise his role. You can see the Instagram post announcing the news below, and so I will scroll through that as well. And you can see right here it says sequel in the works, right? So look, here's a few thoughts on this subject. The first thing is, this is not an announcement by the studio. This is, a major actor who's making this announcement, but it doesn't come through Variety or the Hollywood Reporter or something like that. So it's still very much in the rumor territory. It could easily be something that's being floated by the studio to see what kind of reaction there is. I'm making a video on it. There's a reaction. It was shared by Sean to the Taskforce Geek Facebook group, and there's a lot of reaction there. So if they're looking to, maybe float the idea and see what the community says about it, I'd say that the reaction is pretty good. In addition to that, this is an announcement that it's in development. So there's a big difference between being in development and being in production. Development means that they might be kicking around some scripts. They might be talking to the major players to see, who might be interested. They might even be discussing it with a director or two. But it's just something that's, in the works is very amorphous. It could almost mean anything. So, take all of this with a grain of salt. But also keep in mind that if everyone gets excited about it, that just like what happened with Deadpool, there's a much better chance that it's going to happen if they see that there's some excitement that's bubbling up on this announcement. The first Constantine, and I'm gonna show you the how Keanu looked in that film. The first Constantine was not a critical or financial success. Okay, so the only reason why they would be talking about doing this right now is, I'd say that there's maybe a couple of reasons. Number one, Keanu is a force of nature right now. Not only is he killing it on the John Wick films, but he just appeared in that I Have a Helicopter Coming Over. Apparently they're very interested in this story as well. Not only that, but he also has an appearance in the Cyberpunk 2077 video game, and people went nuts on that. He attached his likeness to the Berserker comic book series, and everyone went nuts on that. And plus, Keanu is the internet boyfriend. So basically, everyone is nuts about Keanu right now. And I'm sure that Warner Brothers is taking a look at their catalog, and they're saying, is there something that we could do to maybe cash in on this? Obviously, he's making a new Matrix film, but he may or may not be the star of that. We really don't know about that. It's probably going to be a situation where he hands over the baton to other people. But this is a case where he could be the major character, which is obviously exciting to me and everyone else who's a big fan of Reeves. Um, Also, I'd like to say that the public's knowledge of these DC characters is very different now than it used to be. For example, there was the Constantine television series that ran on NBC, and then that character, played by Matt Ryan, was ported from NBC over to the CW and appeared in almost every series that they had with within what they affectionately call the Arrowverse or whatever. So, and that was also Matt Ryan, by the way, in the trench coat and everything is picture perfect with the comic book series. So people got a real kick out of that. But it's also a very, let's say, PG take on that character who in the comic books is very gritty and very real. And, I don't know if Matt Ryan's the guy to necessarily pull that off. He might be. But in this case, we're going to, we do have some more public knowledge of Constantine where we didn't have that back in 2005. The only people who knew who Constantine was fan of the comics, which, there are plenty of those people, but it's not like what you get on television and movies. Also, speaking of Peter Stormare's character Lucifer that was in the Constantine movie, there's been a Lucifer television series that ran several years on Fox and was incredibly successful on there. Now, that was a much more charming and less menacing version of Lucifer, let's say. Let's say it's kind of like a romance novel version of Lucifer. They also weren't dealing with all of the very, very serious stuff that was in the Lucifer comic. But again, you've got a situation where people in the public know these characters, the DC Comics version of these characters, much better than they did back in 2005 when that movie was originally released. Do I think that this is going to be cool? Yeah, it could be. It has the potential to be cool. Again, Keanu's obviously always cool. It would be neat to see him in that role again. Effects are a hell of a lot better now. The knowledge of these characters are better. And maybe after 15 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and some other things that have gone on television and elsewhere, maybe the creators would be a little bit more respectful to the original comic book material, which is very dark and excellent. I mean, it's really good. Both of those, Constantine was around before Neil Gaiman's version of Sandman, but Lucifer came from Sandman. And so if you explore that character like Gaiman did and what they did in the series that followed that, you have a lot of really great material there to draw from, and hopefully they will do that. Also, as I've mentioned several times, I've been bandying about the fact that the original movie, they were trying so hard not to make it a rated R movie, and to really be Constantine, to get the language right, to get the attitude right, to get that grittiness in there, it needs to be rated R. Let's have some rated R Constantine, please. That would instantly elevate what's going on, not because of the gore or whatever, but just because the grittiness and the reality of that character would be much better. Finally, if you can dissect the Hollywood out of that film, that was one of the problems of the original film, is that Hollywood fixed too much. When Hollywood goes in and says, we can do this better than the comic books, oftentimes what they do is they add a bunch of action scenes and stuff that make no sense whatsoever, or they pick little pieces from the comics and decide that they can do it better. Hollywood cannot do it better. Do it with the original stories in mind, or find someone that's amazing. Like find someone from Blumhouse who is killing it on everything that they're doing right now, and get them involved, to make a real horror movie that's gritty and that will challenge you. I mean, look, Constantine's a horror movie. It should be a horror movie first and foremost. horror movies are doing really well right now, but the ones that are doing well are the ones that maybe challenge you a little bit. They go a little bit against the grain. Constantine could definitely do that, but it didn't do that the first time around. So is it possible that it's cool? Yes, it could be very cool, but only if they do things a little bit different this time around. Finally, I guess the question that I have for everyone is, what do you think? Do you think that a Constantine 2 with Keanu Reeves is something that would be exciting? Are you ready to buy a ticket and go see it in the movie sometime, in the theater sometimes, or maybe stream it or something? If so, tell me in the comments below. I really want to hear from you. Finally, if you like this subject, then we might be talking about it on our show, which is on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central. And I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like or share wherever you see this. It makes a huge difference. And until next time, this is Dark Hooper saying, dream hard.